Does he have technical difficulties?
I don't think so. He'll do that. He'll like just have it set up and then get on there.
There he is.
Dylan,
What the hell?
what's happening?
That's supposed to be the applause.
I'm here, finally.
I found these sounds on here.
Peace.
Yeah, I saw that.
Welcome to Skol Chat with Skota. We are a chat group created by four guys who are a blended family, not only through the traditional familial means, but also for the love of the game, specifically for our favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings. We won't claim to be professionals, nor will we cover a lot of stats unless it is specific to the topics we'll be discussing. We are just four fans who get together to basically discuss all aspects of the team, from games, training, releases, signings, and the overall organization itself. Our name is derived from two of us who currently reside in Minnesota, and two of whom reside deep within Packer territory. This is not our livelihood, as we, like many of you, have busy lives, and what we hope to obtain are additions to our blended family by having you become a part of it. We have room to add a couple of you at a time during our airings and would like you to join us in our chat. As with any family, there will be happy times and sad times to be discussed and experienced. Although the game may only last a season, the desire for the game and the team is year-long. If you want to join us, please hit the subscribe button, follow us on YouTube, and give us either a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on your experience, and leave us a comment. If you'd like to join us during the show, contact us at the email link provided below.
Welcome to Skol Chat 40. This week, we're going to do the draft recap. We're going to talk about the Vikings undrafted free agent signings. There's a couple other news topics that are floating around that we're going to go over. Before we go too far, though, if you like what you see and hear, or either one, like what you hear or see, subscribe, like, comment. If you also want to check out our shorts, we haven't had one in a while. We should probably do that. But we also post on Spotify audio and full video episodes on there, as well as some Instagram shorts. And with that, let's get going. First off, returning the memes. So I got a couple of memes here. See if anyone knows what this is. This is the live look in at Jets practice right now. Anyone know who's playing quarterback?
Oh, Gino.
Uncle.
Yeah.
That is Eric Decker, though. He played for the Gophers. He played the receiver there, 87. So Andy Reid was confused, ended up going to Kansas City, and it's been there for pretty much a decade. But he thought the place said KFC instead of KC. This is the Doritos Packers edition. Nacho year again. Tastes like defeat, and it's a choking hazard.
I'm gonna have to save that one, send it to some friends.
The Vikings hate the Packers so much they refuse to win a Lombardi. That's when you know, like, there's pure hate running through your veins.
Oh my God.
And then here's Mr. Clean. It just takes shit off walls. And this is kind of a twofer, because I know the one time, like, I brought up the news article I saw where it's like, what were they on or smoking? This one, there was a article from the Sporting News by Mike Moriatis, who said that the Vikings were one of 6 teams that would be in on a trade for Shedeur Sanders.
What?
I don't know how many more quarterbacks the Vikings need. I mean, I guess quality over, or is it quantity over quality, or is it quality over? I mean, at what point do you draw the line? But yeah.
Oh, I can't believe that, especially Sanders. You can't. Yeah.
I was gonna say, what did I see quarterback wise? Didn't we take on we took on a few more with our signings, did we not?
No, I don't think they signed a single quarterback.
No,
You got some corners, but yeah, not quarters.
One too many, right?
Yeah, I guess I don't even know. I should count how many total players they have with their signings.
I mean, they have what? 19 signed free agents in total.
Oh, they got to build up the 93-man roster for.
They picked 9 and then picked up 19 under that, and they just signed that other free agent today.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, then we took on a few. Yeah, we took on at least 2 cornerbacks. No, we took on 3 cornerbacks. What is that? Fabian Monroe. Well, obviously we got Carson Wentz is on there, and James Pierre.
Yeah, they must be mixing that up because those are two corners. So Carson Wentz, Max Brosmer, Kyler Murray, and JJ are the four quarterbacks. They must be mixing in the corners and the quarters on that, whatever you're looking at there.
Yeah, it could be. I was just looking at it. I was like, well, a lot of these, there's a lot of players that are listed like they're going to play multiple positions. Obviously, it's a wide spectrum that they could cover these positions, but I don't know.
I guess what I was kind of getting at too is like how many players they have, because like when they go in the training camp, they can take 90 players in the training camp. And then before the season starts, what is it, by the second preseason game it's at the end of the
Yeah.
third, they need to be down to 53, and then they can have their
Yep.
practice squad.
That's right.
So
I
they could
kinda
have
forgot about them.
17 if one of them is an international player. So I don't know where to kind of talk about this, but I guess we'll just jump into the
Start with from number one going on.
Who's number one?
Caleb Banks.
Man,
yeah.
Caleb
So with the first pick, number 18 in the first round, they drafted defensive tackle Caleb Banks from Florida. The second round, 51 pick, they took, I guess, Jake Golday from Cincinnati, outside linebacker edge. In the third round, they liked the position so much they took another defensive tackle, Dominique Orange from Iowa State, with the 82nd pick. On the 97th pick in the third round, they picked Caleb Tiernan from Northwestern. Again in the third round with the 98th pick, they took Jacoby Thomas, a safety from Miami. And they got one of these picks because they traded Jonathan Grenard to the Eagles for a third round pick in 2026 and a third round pick in 2027. So that's how they ended up with this an additional third round pick. But they also shed a lot of cap space from trading him. So now they're sitting at roughly $16 million, which we'll get to the other news, towards the end here, which is why they have other players signing and other players visiting with hopefully the potential to sign. In the fifth round, they 159th pick, they drafted a fullback, Max Bredesen from Michigan. Their other fifth round pick was Charles Demings from Stephen F. Austin. In the sixth round, they got one of their top 30 guys, Damon Claiborne, running back from Wake Forest. And in the seventh round, they drafted a guy. He didn't have any any draft profile, so nothing was written up, but he was a center from Cincinnati, which they needed a center. I was hoping they do it in round 3 or maybe at least around 5. And I just wrote it down there just because it's always interesting. The last guy that was drafted in this year's draft was our Cowboy friend, Red Murdoch, the linebacker from University of Buffalo, which I wanted the Vikings to draft him just because of his name.
The Scooby got me undrafted.
And so I know in the reaction that we recorded to the first round, I was upset.
Yeah, I was too.
I felt they reached.
I was going to say I was upset or disappointed, but then the more I heard about Banks and whatever, it's like, okay, I kind of get the drip of what's going on. So, yeah.
Well, so, I'm off the ledge right now, but the window's still open, right? So they picked him off, I guess, just as he's a physical freak. There's not many guys that can move like he can. That's what I was saying. He's a physical freak because of his movement and the film that he does have. He's a monster. But again, he's hurt his foot last year, had surgery on it, and then hurt his foot again at the combine, but still tested out of this world. With his all that he ran.
Because you couldn't do it all. But yeah.
But they're projecting his upside, right? That's what it was all about. And, we did talk quite a bit, maybe they should trade for Dexter Lawrence or, there's like the Jalen Carter from the Eagles, defensive tackle that that's what the Vikings need. What they tried doing last year didn't work. But to kind of put this much capital within the first 3 rounds there's not very often both those players are going to be playing on the field at the same time.
No.
Caleb Banks and Dominique Orange, unless Caleb Banks can move out to a defensive lineman or an end position. But at 300 pounds, there's not too many ends, defensive ends. So, and I know I was kind of listening to Thor, your buddy Thor, their dad, and he made a comparison to another defensive tackle that the Vikings drafted from Florida, although his was more of he had a meniscus injury that he had surgery on it to repair it, and then there was nerve damage.
Ooh.
So it's not really, Sharif Floyd is who the player was that he was trying to make a comparison to, but that happened 5 years into Sharif Floyd's career. Um, I would say though, and everybody says it, if there wasn't this injury concern, then Caleb Banks would have been a top 5 player in the draft.
Oh yeah, for sure.
At least top 10. Well, what I was going to make a point on, they're going on is upsize, and all can do is pray. And you got the medical staff there in orthopedic center there and all that, but it would be awesome to see him and eventually be a ranked top 10 player, So, yeah, the whole draft is a gamble,
Yeah, it is. I mean, you're the number one pick could go out there the first day and first play and get injured.
Right.
And be down. So,
And that's happened to the Vikings before.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think Chad Greenway injured his knee on special teams his rookie season, if I remember correctly.
See?
Yep. And then Dalvin Cook, his rookie year, got injured in the second or third game of the year.
Yeah.
So really, it is. I mean, it's not really a crapshoot. You said it's more like it's you're hedging, but you're hedging your bets to an extent a lot of the times, and you're taking safe picks, right? And I think you can talk about like other teams and you can see their draft needs or their position needs, and their draft makes sense. Like looking at this draft, they did get good players that will contribute probably in their first year. They'll be on the field, but it just didn't make sense with their needs because I guess the way they drafted is like the needs that the roster that the roster needs they had. It seems like the coaches and the scouting department didn't seem like they're as big of a need as we as fans, watching the games think they are. Like center was a big need. There was plenty of centers available on their third round pick in '98. They could have got a nice center there.
And on the center, I'm thinking they're going to try to rely on Brandell right now, and then probably just bringing in this guy to try out. But I think they're going to probably try to push Brandell to be the center. I think he's been working at it too. I mean, working at it more.
Yeah. Well, and I guess if they feel comfortable with it, and again, the second round pick, that Jake Galladay, I mean, he looks like a monster him too. I mean, 6'4".
Don't we have Dylan
He's a
Bell?
big boy. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
And what I understood, like from Thor, the film study, he can cover line from side to side, and yeah, like you said, he's a big boy, and I think he's kind of almost the weight in that of and the size of the good old day linebackers, the big old boys instead of the speedy, skinny guys. So yeah, way it sounds, he's a good player.
Well, so
He's
he played, like you said, he's played all over the field. Over the last 2 years, he's played 400 snaps as a nickel cornerback. And then, in the slot, he has a 91.4 grade against the run and 86.6 coverage grade in the box and a 73.6 coverage grade in the slot. So meaning on the boundary. 6'4", almost 6'5", 240 pounds. I'm assuming that they drafted him to take over for the Gangster, since the Gangster is going to be 31, 32 within the next couple of years here. But again, there's potential and upside, right? Not production, because he didn't have. I mean, he did quite a bit, and I think that's what they look for. They look for guys that can play multiple positions and they can do a lot of things with, and that's why they liked Harrison Smith so much, is because he can do so many things. But then again, they get down to Dominique Orange, and we talked about it. They needed a run stopper. That's what he is. He's just that
remember
fire hydrant in the middle.
Yeah, during our mock drafting, if he was there and went through the stats on it, many times I voted for drafting Orange, the big boy, Yeah, nobody can move him. What the heck? they were playing some game I can't remember, but anyways, it was like 4th and 1. The other team, I think it was Expert or somebody like that. I don't know. But anyway, they were trying to run the ball and they put 3 O-linemen on him and they couldn't move him. And of course, that opened up the gap for one of the smaller linebackers to go and stop the run, So, yeah, I was impressed with that.
Yeah, no, like again, it's funny they draft Jake Galladay because he can do all these things, and they draft Dominic Orange and he can only do one thing, or that's what he excels in. Who knows? Again, with development, he might be able to get some interior pass rush movement or skills, but at this point, he doesn't have it. And again, we talked about they needed a center. Well, just because Darisaw and O'Neal have been hurt so much the past couple of years, they drafted a tackle in the 3rd round. So this Caleb Tiernan, he looks like a beast. He's played, 4 years at Northwestern. The one knock I see constantly is he has T-Rex arms.
Oh, really? I said, do we have a picture of him? I have not. I can't say I've seen the guy.
I should have done like a Photoshop, but so yeah, no, he has the arm length of somebody who's 6'2" and he's 6'8". So he has the arm length of somebody who's 6 inches shorter than he is. But again, he's going to be a productive player. He might, within the next year or two, could be a starter, but he has experience at both left and right tackle. So there is that. He's a swing tackle, so they got him for depth. Then the 3rd round safety they got wasn't the safety we wanted in the 1st round, but they got Jacoby Thomas. He guesses a lot. He kind of fires and he'll do a lot of dive tackling and not form tackling, so he misses a lot of tackles. He's not the box safety that you kind of want that like Harrison Smith can do. So there are some questions there because he's only productive the 1 year last year, but of course Miami was playing, in the national championship game, I think it was. Another thing that's questionable, they drafted the fullback in the 5th round. I mean, that's like a quarter of the offensive plays that fullback's going to be out on the field. He's the best fullback in the draft.
He was also put in, actually, he was listed as a tight end, and he'd been put on the line as a tight end, a receiver, whatever. And he's a big boy and he can block. That's a plus side. So he could be, how when they put 3 tight ends in, they call it 13 personnel, isn't it? Where they got 3 tight ends.
Yeah, it's how many, yeah. 1 running back, 3 tight ends, well, technically.
So the thing, instead of trying to put additional lineman in there, you got this guy who's you can,
Well,
tight
yeah, I mean,
end.
that's what they did. Remember back in, I guess Zimmer days, they had Rhett Ellison. And he
Yeah,
was more of it's an H-back, not really
yeah.
a true fullback, but more of an H-back is what they consider it because it's in a tight end body kind of thing. But again, in the 5th round, they draft the fullback, and they could have drafted a center kind of thing. And I know that we got Brandel, that's couldn't be center, but again, you want the best players available, and there were plenty in the 5th round at that pick. And that's again the concerning thing with the draft is this is all over the draft. So they did have a plan. They identified the guys they wanted, and they stuck to it. I mean, I guess that's a plus for them. There is a lot of people were saying that cornerback, the Charles Demings they drafted. He played at a small school, but they say that he projects well as far as a cover corner. But I mean, right now he's going to be helping out in special teams, and at this point, only a 4th string probably corner. He's not going to be any higher than that his first year. And then the 6th round, they got the Damon Claiborne. I mean, he's a 4.3 speedster, and if you watch him, yeah, he's got some wheels. But we were hoping to have a running back that could catch well out of the backfield, and he's not the best receiver.
Oh, really?
So again, they want a home run threat, and I guess he's going to be it. But I guess we'll kind of see, what kind of playing time he gets because he's not going to surpass Aaron Jones right away,
No, I don't think he will.
and he's not going to take touches from Jordan Mason, I don't think. But and then that center they got in the 7th round, like I said, there wasn't even a draft profile written up on him. So I could, I think he played 4 years at Cincinnati. I don't know exactly. So I don't have anything on him to talk about.
Yeah.
What I heard was he had a total of 500 snaps with his 4 years there.
So
So he claims that, well, when he came in, what the hell was he? Then they put him at center. So from there, yeah. But anyways, he's feels that he can, what is it, called whatever the centers do, called the
line adjustments and what,
yeah. And he claims that while being in college, he's seen all kinds of different defenses and whatever. So, but anyways, I guess we'll have to see how he pans out.
He is 4 and about 310 pounds, so he could put on another 10 to 20 pounds with that, with the frame.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they still at least addressed it, because I do think they're going to rely on Brant and Brendel more. But I mean, I'm glad they at least addressed it and didn't leave us, and not pick up somebody else, because our other backups weren't that great.
Well, that's usually the 6th and the 7th round. Those are usually the project guys, the guys that have like the physical skills but didn't really, have production in college. What was
Sounds
that?
like
What were you saying?
I was just gonna say, Gavin, he's supposedly supposed to be really good with helping the O-line.
Yeah.
What was my favorite stab they took? The project guy. Remember, was it Moritz Boringer? Remember the guy from Germany?
Yeah.
Oh,
That was a flash in the pan. I think he lasted a year.
Yeah, that was about it. But what the hell? I was thinking while you were talking there, Joe. Wasn't you were talking about in 6th, 7th round players are project players and that. Most of them are. But what round was Rodriguez drafted?
Was he one of the undrafted free agents from the number? Is he number 50?
Rodriguez.
It seems to me when he was drafted, it was in the 7th round or 6th round. But anyways, I know Jurgen and the other guy that they put in there, God, I can't remember his name. They were like 6th or 7th round.
Yeah, he was drafted in the 7th round.
Yeah, look at how good he is. Then Redmond, right? He's the other one undrafted.
Yeah, he played in the UFL.
Yeah, so
And like you can talk, I mean, you can go down the line and say, okay, yeah, but again, that's like and that's the whole thing. Like I said, I mean, the whole draft was questionable. We don't know what they're doing. There's no theme. It seems like, okay, they said that they're going to address the defense and that they're going to, it's more depth stuff. I mean, it's not like, I don't know.
I think it's gonna work. Sorry to cut you off, Joe.
No worries. You can cut me off anytime. A lot of times I'm talking, I'm not really saying anything. I'm talking to certain.
Sorry.
It's a snake eating its own tail. Yeah, I mean that's my whole concern about the draft.
I mean, last year we were set up really well. This year it doesn't seem like we're set up really well, but we may do better than last year. It's hard to say.
Well, that's just the thing. It's like we talked about, like stacking good decisions on top of one another. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, there were players available that could have fit needs that were probably, like I said, most people like these draft guys were saying that these players that were available at the positions that they needed were better players than that they drafted. And that's the whole thing. It's like, so the Vikings are set on their draft board. They're saying that the guys that we picked, we know what we're doing, and these other draft correspondents or these pundits, they don't know what they're talking about.
well, here too that we all need to realize or keep in mind more times than this is what Jeremiah says about it, top 50. This is what even Thorpe. The thing is, yeah, like that safety that we were hoping that they would draft. Yeah, he sounded like he could do everything that close to Harrison Smith. But when they have their conversation or their meeting with these guys before, while they're going around through the draft process, maybe there was, okay, like Flores and the coaches put this and that out there. And well, maybe his response, I'm talking about the safety, didn't add up to the scheme that they want to play. So, that's the whole thing, It's like, so they draft the players that fits in.
Yeah, and the last thing, and again, I don't want to. I mean, because we just end up beating a dead horse, but and I think what they thought, just like Randy Moss fell in the draft in '98, and I mean, you just can't pass that up. But again, Randy Moss wasn't coming in with injury concerns; he had the attitude problem concerns. But an example of a player that fell in this year's draft was Jermod McCoy, that corner who was like the second or third best corner available in the draft, and he fell to the 4th round because of injury concerns because he hurt his, was it ACL or MCL or whatever?
Knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, they found out that it's what is it? Deteriorating knee issue or whatever, something on that line. Well,
But when you're 300 pounds, 6 foot, or 6'6" or whatever he is, that stress fracture is happening because of how big he is. So again, is it apples to apples? Maybe not exactly. With that, like I said, if it works out, great. I want it to work out. I want them to be right. I'll just say that.
yeah, we all do.
It's not like I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want.
We really have no other choice but to, hope that
Yeah.
they, work out the best for us.
I like that number 7, the last pick, Red Murdoch.
Like I said, he
Linebacker.
sounds like a cowboy from a Western movie, from an old Western. Like he was Red Murdoch and John Wayne were.
Maybe
I don't
he'll
know.
take over Jared Allen's little,
Oh,
yeah.
he should. I guess he can't do the double shooter. Well, let's try to put a positive spin on it. I kind of talked about who my favorite draft pick was. What was yours? Your favorite draft picks? Don't all go at once. Take your turn.
Myself, I gotta say Orange because
You're patting yourself on the
he's a
back.
line stuffer. That's
Gonna go with Gennard.
Gerhardt? Or getting rid of Grenard? Toby, what happened to Toby? He went to Jacksonville and never really played again.
Be right back, guys.
I think myself it's got to be Jake, linebacker.
Yeah, that's who like I said, I kind of envision him someday taking over for the Ginkster, and maybe he'll be a little more explosive where, the Gink does what he does well, but he's just not like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Where it seems like Van Ginkel is just all about like a technique and he's reading the play, where this guy could just blow up a play just because he's that good of an athlete.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to watching him play.
I'm looking forward to Banks, to Jake.
Yeah, you got to look forward to all of them.
What was the nickname for Orange?
Big Citrus? Big Citrus?
Yep, Big Citrus.
There's that guy. And then I hope they all play well, but the other one is the fullback, Mac. I like to see him in action.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, some of the draft pundits don't think these guys are going to contribute much in the first year, and they're all about upside and development. But Caleb Banks is going to play. Jake Gallaudet is going to get some snaps. Dominique Orange is going to get some snaps.
Oh, I'm sure.
Max, Bredeson's going to get snaps. And I mean, Damon Claiborne, at least he'll possibly return kicks, but he might get a snap or two. So, I mean, these guys are going to play, which that was the issue in the past drafts where the guys weren't even on the field. So, I mean, there is that positive there.
And you look at overall too, you're talking about like the outside voices. Look how many times over the years they've said the Vikings were only going to win so many games, and they just well exceeded, so many of them, especially in O'Connell's era.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, this is a lot of it was depth at positions. Maybe we thought, anyways, I won't beat a dead horse. I do want to just kind of talk about, I kind of pulled together a bunch of different draft grades. And again, we don't really, but again, these are people that have been in the business for how many years? Some of them have. I mean, some of them I've never even heard of them, but Mel Kiper Jr. from ESPN gave us a C. And he says, there's some good players here. There's some upside, just didn't do enough to move the needle. Chad Reuter from NFL.com gave us a B, which was the highest grade, but he didn't give an overall statement. He just graded individual draft picks. Nate Davis from USA Today gave us a C-, doesn't think we'll get a ton out of the class in 2026, which again, I think that guy's wrong. SI.com gave us a B-, no overall statement given. PFF gave us a C, no overall statement given. Carter Bonds from CBS Sports, B-. It all hinges on whether Banks works out. Vinny Iyer, Sporting News, which I didn't know was still around, gave us a C-. And again, that was that same theme. Banks was a massive reach for an injured player. Yahoo Sports, another B. Draft was all about upside. And at this point, there's no guarantee everything's going to pan out.
I'm going to throw in there Thor gave Vikings a C.
Yeah, he said dead even in the I guess the middle of the NFL, which again, at this point, a C, a B-, I think. I think that's about right. Until they play the game, until we see production that I guess that we're not, we're assuming it's not going to be there, but the Vikings think it's going to be there. And I'm going to move on to, there's quite a list here. So these are the undrafted free agent signings. The ones in yellow were the ones that some people thought would be drafted or could possibly be drafted if a team liked them well enough. And Marcus Allen, not the running back from the Chiefs and the Raiders from the 90s and the 80s. Cornerback, North Carolina, long corner, lacks late speed, not a great tackler. Davion Armstead, corner, North Texas. He was only a 3-star player out of high school, but he's kind of got that 6'1", so a lengthy corner, but he's only 183 pounds. This is Dylan Bell. Steve Smith kind of gave an interview, I'm not sure how long ago it was, probably before the draft, but he liked him, and he said that Georgia didn't use him. They didn't give him opportunity at wide receiver. They just kind of played him all over, so he wasn't able to kind of figure out one position because he'd play running back some plays, and then he'd, do gadget plays. But he's 6'1", 210 pounds, and he's thick, kind of like Deebo Samuel or kind of like Percy Harvin was.
I'm sorry, Joe.
No, go.
From what I understand, he played wide receiver, running back, and he also was on special teams. So, I mean, he's going to be another free agent signing, which I think would be good. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they're going to sign him, from my understanding.
Yeah, no, yeah, and all these guys have signed. It's just not, I said whether or not they're going to make it out of camp or even signed to the practice squad, which
I think Dylan Bell will.
I think, yeah, if he gets some Keenan McCardle training, maybe they'll get Adam Thielen and come down and show him how to run routes. I guess he'll have Addison and Jefferson to learn from.
As long as they click together well, you know what I mean? If they get up on the wrong foot, maybe not. It's hard to say.
Then they got Tristan Lee out of Clemson. They gave him a $275,000 guarantee for the signing contract, so he's a high priority. This Delby Lemieux sounds like a hockey player. It's guard center. Some people had him on their draft boards. And not Jacoby Thomas, but Jacob Thomas is a safety out of James Madison. And so this guy's versatile and can play in the box. I'm assuming he wasn't drafted because he played, at a small school, lesser competition. They they signed this Brett Thorson. He's a punter out of Georgia. He was on the number one punter on Thor's board. Thor thinks that this Brett Thorson's going to beat out Hecker for the punter. And John's going to miss it, but we got Scooby Williams, the linebacker out of Texas A&M, 6'2", 231. He fires quickly but misses a lot of tackles and does decently in coverage. Then there's this Kelly Lawson, another linebacker out of UCF. And then they got, I'm just going to name these names. Well, they got this Luke Wysong. He's a wide receiver from Arizona. So they have a relative athletic score from the drills they run out of their, at the combine or at their pro day. And he scored a 9.05 out of 10. So he's quick, fast. He's a returner, but didn't catch many balls. I think he caught maybe around 30 balls his senior year. There's Shaliak Knotts, a wide receiver from Maryland, 6'3", big body receiver, but he's more of a down the field threat. He doesn't seem to run crossing routes or anything like that. But again,
he had 17 yards roughly for Maryland, 6 touchdowns. He said he was averaging 16 and a half yards per carry.
Yeah, I mean, he was a big play threat, that's for sure. But he's also...
That'd be cool to see him work.
That's the second receiver they would have on the roster from Maryland. Him and Ty Felton, both from Keenan McCardell's alma mater. They got Kajalan Owens, running back, Florida International. Thomas Rymick, O-line from Virginia Tech. Marcus Sanders Jr., wide receiver, Georgia Southern. Cameron Stewart, linebacker Temple, Arden Walker, linebacker Colorado, Jordan Bothello, linebacker Notre Dame, Tyreek Chappell, corner from Texas A&M, and Monkel Goodwine, defensive line, South Carolina. And I don't know much. I didn't look up much on those guys, but those are the undrafted free agent signings. We kind of talked about ones that kind of stuck out. Any other names stick out or anything you want to add to any of these players?
Well, unfortunately, I because of the issues I have with my eyes and trying to read things, whatever, I didn't look up the undrafted. But some of the names that you mentioned sound like that. I heard them on the names on somebody's boards, where they were ranked.
Yeah, I thought we had a couple others out there like Tyler Batty. Obviously, we're still going to keep Max Brosmer. Then, what is it? Michael Powell? Does that ring a bell? Free agent? Or was it Michelle Powell? I don't. I know there's a couple other I thought I come across.
Well, the only one are you talking about last year or
No, I thought that was also part of this year, too.
Max?
Well, yeah, but Max, I thought wasn't he still in limbo as far as if he was going to be staying with the team this year or not?
Well,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, well, yeah, probably, but
But-
he's not classified as a undrafted rookie.
No, but free agent wise, I guess. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but
So I thought he could have left if you wanted to.
I think he's under contract now, though, for this year at least.
You
And they
know,
could cut him. But yeah,
Okay.
this list is of the guys that weren't drafted and the Vikings signed after the draft for
Yeah.
players in this rookie class.
now, did you say something about some of these guys were on the 30 visit?
Yeah, I kind of took that out. I kind of had a couple of different iterations of this sheet, but okay, so I kind of took it off of this sheet here. But the 30 visits the Vikings had for sure. They had Damon Claiborne, who they drafted, and Charles Demings, who they drafted. I don't want to speak out of turn, so I can't remember. I unfortunately took them off because I always wanted to call out that the 9 out of the 19 that they signed for these UDFAs could possibly have been drafted. So they're quality players.
Okay, well, that's a plus, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Scooby Williams was one of those guys that were a top 30. I can't remember any of the other ones though. But again, it'll at least have camp depth, and hopefully I don't foresee as many sticking around as have in past years, just because hopefully the Vikings have built better depth over the
Yeah.
past couple of years. So, and they kind of almost had to keep some of these guys for salary cap reasons and just because
Yeah,
they were better players than the ones they already had on the roster.
Yep.
So of these players, I think the most promising is going to be that Tristan Lay because they gave him a bunch of money. But I really hope that Dylan Bell, I hope he works out and he can kind of develop in camp.
Yeah, hopefully. That would be nice to see what he can do.
Moving on, we kind of talked about it. The Vikings just today signed a free agent defensive lineman, Eric Johnson II, which again, just more competition, another body. I think he was a 5th-round pick beforehand.
Well, who was he from? The Colts?
Yeah, he played with the Colts. He's a former 5th-round pick, and then the Athletics' Dane Brugler says he flashes phone booth explosiveness, functional hand use, and play range. He should appeal to multiple schemes and is ideally suited as a 5 technique or a quick penetrating 3 technique. So really that just means like where he lines up. Is he going to line up over the offensive tackle or is he going to line up over like in between in the gap?
Well, maybe the Vikings went ahead and picked him up because of being a veteran and whatever, and see if he fits in with Flores' scheme of things. And yeah, I think what the Vikings are doing is they want to make sure they got enough players because some of these guys aren't going to be playing every game, but I think most of them will be on the rotating, and the ones they'll depending who the opponent is. Some of them will start the game, be starters, and the other one rotate in, like they have been. So, anyways,
Well, yeah,
that's
and I
my
guess
penny worth of guessing.
I mean a lot of what Flores has called for in the past for these linemen, both defensive tackles and the defensive linemen, the ends, have been to suck up blockers so they can run twists or stunts or to get the linebackers, either unblocked chances or, single block and make a play. So a lot of these guys have been just used to free up those guys. And that was one of the was Allen and Hargrave. That was what they were complaining about, is that
Yeah.
they weren't able to make plays because they were asked to do certain things that weren't helpful to them for their stats. But like I mentioned earlier, like the trading of Grenard opened up $16 million in cap space. So that's why you're seeing that they are able to sign this defensive end. And that's why they have Juwan Jennings visiting from the 49ers. He came last night and still here. I haven't heard if he was signed yet or not, but I think that's
Is,
going to be dependent on how much money he's asking for.
is he a wide receiver?
Yeah, he's a wide receiver. He played for the 49ers the past 4 years, I think.
Yeah, I think there was one time on Purple Daily back when they were talking about, well, why not trade so-and-so a quarterback for this round and whatever, and also have them throw in Jennings,
Well,
So,
in 2024, he caught 77 passes and almost 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. And last year, he only caught 55 balls, but was over 600 yards and had 9 touchdowns. So he'd be a good 2A, 2B. And I heard on Purple Daily, not sure which one it was, but it'd be a good backup, for if they decide that they want to move on from Addison after next year. If they
Yeah.
are able to sign him to a couple of years or 2-3 year contract. But I heard he was asking the 49ers for like $22 million a year,
Oh,
which is why they chose not to sign him. So,
can't blame him.
and I hear
There's a lot.
the Dolphins are interested too. So I don't know
so
what
it's going to be a bidding war between the Vikings and the Dolphins if that's the case.
Well, yeah, and I don't think the Vikings would be able to be in a bidding war. Although they could be in a bidding war for the Dolphins because the Dolphins have so much in dead cap space. They only have at this point around $2 million cap space.
Not much.
So they'd have to give a giant signing bonus to make up for not giving them the money in the contract.
Yeah. Well, the Vikings could do the same.
Yeah, yeah. But again, I mean, he's a good option. But again, if they sign him, it kind of just talks about what they think of Ty Felton at this point in his career.
Yeah.
And then any of these guys that they picked up because they didn't draft a wide receiver like we thought they might have. I think they liked Ted Hurst. I think they wanted him. But again, because they drafted other players in these different positions, when he was available, they chose not to draft him. And by the time they probably got to the range where they thought they were going to try and take him, he was already gone.
Yeah, that's a problem. Base the players on your board, you view them and grade them or whatever the case may be, and that's the way it is with the draft. Somebody gets a hint that you want that player, so the other team, a team moves up because they want to make sure they got that player. That's how it went, anyways.
Yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Yeah, you have to prioritize one or the other, right? So you're prioritizing this pick over your next plan, or you're hoping it falls into place. But again, like you said, the other team will kind of slide in there, and they don't always do what you think they're going to do.
Right. You always have okay, this player is the goal for this round, but plan B, this player is close to the same value, so draft this one. So that's the way I understand explanation on teams, how they rank the players, and they could have one that really grades high and another one that just a hair below them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll see if they decide they're going to sign him, if they can make things work. And I think it sounds like John was more in the know about the GM search than I was. They're going to meet with a number of options. And at this point, Rob Brzezinski isn't given like the priority over these other interviewees that they're going to be talking with. And of course, they're kind of tight-lipped on who they're interviewing. So we don't know at this point. But then I'm not sure where it came from or where I heard it, but there was some thoughts about hiring a general manager, but also creating a vice or a president of football operations,
Yeah.
which means like the operations of the football team. And, that'd be where Rob Brzezinski would be put in because he manages the camp and would possibly manage the salary team or salary cap team if he decides he's going to create a team. And just because he's been known, that's what they like about him is that he's able to bring all the teams, the scouts and the coaches together and get them to work together.
That's that's what and well, Rob been in the league for 27 years or 29 years, and he's been with the Vikings since what was it? He something or other.
I can't remember 98 or 99, I think it was.
Something like that. So he been with the team like 27 years, whatever that is, 99.
wow.
So, and he's always been good with the cap book, and whatever. When Quasey was there, Quasey would say, to Rob, we're going to sign him, so work it out, whatever he wants.
Well, and that's kind of like Rob's quote when they traded Grenard. It's like, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to trade him. I don't want to trade him, but, we have no other choice at this point because we spent too much money in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, that Gernard, even O'Connell said that, hate to see him go. Rob even said that. But the problem is, Gernard wanted more money, and the Vikings didn't have the money to give to him. So,
And then they also did it for him,
well, right, because didn't he get a extension like 25 mil or
I
something?
think it was
Whatever.
a $50 million contract, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I know it was up there, so, but I think the Vikings kind of screwed themselves, but you got to realize it's the Eagles. Who are you, the GM there? That GM been doing it for a long time, and that guy is hard to deal with.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with the value we got back from him, but
Yeah, should have gotten a second round for him, but I think they had everything set up, but trying to figure out what the compensation of the trade would be. So yeah, they should have gotten a second and third round. They could have had the third round this year and the second next year, but I don't know if the Eagles had the second round.
Well, and that's just it. I don't think, at least they got something.
Yeah,
Because their hands were tied. They would have either had to
release
straight
him
up
or
cut him, release him, and then they would have to eat whatever portion of the salary.
Yeah.
And so again, they
Right.
saved up 16 million, in their salary cap. So again, they were able to sign this Eric Johnson, and they're able to possibly sign Juwan Jennings, which I hope they do. And hopefully, I guess they figure it out. I think somehow, some way, they're still going to expand Rob Brzezinski's role, his title.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
said, I think he'll be the football operations guy, and then whoever they hire for the GM will kind of cover the scouting side,
Yeah.
determining or helping to determine who they're going to sign as free agents, or help run the draft and stuff like that. We got a lot of stuff. I mean, it doesn't seem like it would, but there's the schedule release is coming up on, I think it's May 3rd.
What is it?
Yeah, so we'll have something to talk about there. We'll have, I guess, we decide to talk next week. We'll know by then probably Juwan Jennings signs.
Yeah.
And we might know. I doubt we're going to know. I think it'll probably take 2 to 3 weeks or maybe in a month to determine who the GM's going to be. But we'll have those talkers coming up. And I guess on the NFL, I guess the schedule release, I think we know what, half the games? Don't we know based on how they finish, like who they're going to be playing?
From last
Yeah,
year.
whatever they rank in the division. So the Bears were one, wasn't it? The Bears?
Bears, Packers, the Vikings, the Lions.
Yeah, however way. So whatever spot you're in that, then you play that bracket against the other teams, So
Yeah, so I guess we already know who they're playing, just when is the question. Because they're playing the Falcons, the Panthers, the Bills, and the Dolphins. The Saints, the Buccaneers, the Patriots, the Jets. And then
of course,
those last
constant.
4 were the road opponents. I'm surprised they're not playing in Seattle. Thought they just
They're
throw
not
it.
in the-
Well, no, I'd say always play in Seattle. I don't.
Yeah, I know. Seattle is number one.
So there's also, I guess, there are 2 other teams that they haven't announced yet. One from the NFC North and one from the AFC South.
For
Like who they're going to play on the schedule. I guess at this point, whenever this was posted, they didn't know. I mean, I might have to find a different source because that was week 5 in 2025 of last year. So I'm not sure how they would know. Damn it! I hit the same thing.
Yeah, you want to find the latest reports.
All right, so here's the home opponents: the Bears, the Lions, the Packers, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Bills, the Dolphins, Commanders, and the Colts. The road opponents, again, the Bears, Lions, Packers, Saints, Buccaneers, Patriots, Jets, and 49ers. Again, we'll be able to talk about when they play those guys because they'll be announcing the schedule in May.
So got to be on the road, and guess what? Got to go to San Fran.
Would I leave in San Francisco?
What was that song?
I said I left my heart.
Could be. I don't know. Can't remember.
Yeah, I left my heart in San Francisco. That's what it is. Yeah, no, that's what it is. That is it. I left
Hey,
my heart in San Francisco.
let
Tony
it be.
Bennett.
Let it be.
I'm not a big fan of the Beatles. Anyways, any final thoughts or anything we didn't cover?
No, I think
The plus side of the trade with Eagles at least got another additional pick in 27. So that's a plus there, you know.
So is it going to be a third rounder? So we get a comp pick, so because it happened before June 1st?
Yeah, we would. Yeah.
Or don't matter. I won't get into it. There's a certain date where the comp picks don't count anymore, and I think it already happened. That's why Juwan Jennings is visiting now. Again, also because it's after the draft. Well, I guess we'll tie a bow on it. We talked for a while. If you like what you see here, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Click somewhere, click it often. And with that, I guess Skol Vikings.